All right, guys, you're welcome to question 27, still on the challenge, and we are still on differentiation. Now we've got something different to differentiate. We have y equal to 1 plus x all squared to differentiate. Now, I know a lot of you would want to expand 1 plus x all squared and then you go further to differentiate. Yes, I'm going to do that way. I'm going to solve it that way. But I want you to also know how to solve this problem the very best way you should know. And that is applying chain rule. Whenever you have a power function like this, all you need to do is to apply chain rule. Okay, whenever you have an expression in powers like this, you are applying chain rule. And what is chain rule? Chain rule is simply if y is a function of u and u is a function of x, and then you want to differentiate y with respect to x, then you have to differentiate y with respect to u first, and then you differentiate u with respect to x. That is just chain rule. Okay, so I'm going to show you the very basic way of using chain rule. Then I'll show you the short way of using chain rule just to make your work a lot faster. So solving this problem using chain rule, I will say that y is equal to, I'll say let u be equal to 1 plus x. I mean, this guy right inside here. Sorry. So I'll say let u be equal to 1 plus x. You can see now that u is a function of x, so I can differentiate u with respect to x. If I differentiate 1, I'll get 0. If I differentiate x, I'll get 1. So du dx is just 1. Now I know my du dx. So I need to get my dy du. Now if u is equal to this guy, so y is now u squared. Because remember we said 1 plus x is u. So now we replace the 1 plus x as u, and remember we have a square right here. So that is u squared. So y is expressed in the form of u. So that means we can differentiate y with respect to u. And that will give us 2u. I hope you still remember all this stuff. So now applying the chain rule proper is simply dy dx is equal to dy du dot du dx. So what is dy du? Dy du is just 2u. That is 2u times du ds is just 1. And 2u times 1 is the same as 2u. But remember, u is 1 plus x. So this guy becomes 2 into 1 plus x. You can go further to expand. So that becomes 2 times 1 is 2. And 2 times s is 2x, right? So that is our answer. Anyways, and that is option C. All right, but this is quite long. You don't have to do this stuff in your exam, especially when they are not interested in your working. You don't need to do this long stuff. Now, let me show you how to do this stuff real quick. Now we have y equal to 1 plus x all squared, right? Very good. Now think of it this way. If I ask you to differentiate this guy, what would you do? You will say dy dx is simply 2 multiplies the x. You have 2x. You remove 1 from this guy. You have 2. I mean, you have 1, right? Perfect. Now let's come back to this stuff. So I want you to differentiate this function. And you know this y is expressed in x, so you differentiate y with respect to x, right? So think of this 1 plus x as a single variable like this x, right? Just like that. So that means this 2 is going to multiply this guy. So we have 2 into 1 plus x, okay? And you remove 1 from these 2, so we have 1 right here. Now the next thing I want you to do is to now differentiate this inner function. Okay, remember that is not a variable, so you differentiate the inner function. So when you differentiate 1, you get 0, and when you differentiate x, you get 1. Okay, I hope this is clear. So now we can easily multiply 2 times 1, so we have 2. And of course, anything to the power 1 is the same as 1 plus x. Okay, and you can move further to expand since the options have none of this as their answer. So you expand, that will be 2 plus 2x. Boom, we are at the answer. So guys, that is how to go about this problem real quick. The next thing you can also do is by expanding this stuff, expanding 1 plus x squared. But you don't have to do that stuff, because just imagine if you're given a problem like this to solve, y equal to 1 plus x to the power 100. Can you expand this stuff in time? So you don't need this expansion concept. You need this guy, you need this chain rule idea in simplifying this problem. So let us even solve this problem. How are we going to solve this problem? It's going to be y equal to 1 plus x to the 100, right? That will be what? You know how to go about it. Differentiate this guy, see this is just a single variable. So that becomes the y, the x is equal to 100, 1 plus x. Then remove 1 from here, that is 99. Then you differentiate the inner function. That will be 1. If you differentiate to 1, you get 0. If you differentiate x, you get 1. So you multiply it by that 1. So 100 times 1 is going to give us 100. And we have 1 plus x to the 99. This is the answer to this problem. Okay, so stay with me. Let me show you some other stuff that could help you. I mean, when it comes to solving differentiation, let me show you some other stuff that could help you. Let me just rub off this part of the board. All right, I think this side is enough. Here is enough, right? Let me just take this stuff down. And okay, so I want to show us a different question. That is why I'm doing all of this stuff. So I'm sorry for the delay. Let us think of a problem like this. Let's say we have y equal to, let's say 3 plus 5x, then raised to the power 23, or let's say 20 raised to the power 20. Okay, so we want to differentiate this stuff. We want to find the y dx. So how do we even solve? You can see that y is expressed in the form of x, so we can differentiate y with respect to x. Now you think of this guy as a variable, so this 20 is going to multiply this guy. So we have 20 into 3 plus 5x. Then remove 1 from 20, that is remaining 19. And the next thing to do is to differentiate this inner function. I mean, the 3 plus 5x, you have to differentiate it. So now when you differentiate 3, you get 0. When you differentiate 5x, you get 5. So you multiply this stuff by that 5. And of course, you know, you can actually multiply 20 and 5. That will give us 100. So we have 100 into 3 plus 5x raised to the power 19. And that is the answer. So chain rule is very, very straightforward. And it's very easy. Just thinking of that function as just a single variable, differentiating the normal way you differentiate, then you go further to differentiate the inner function, and of course you just multiply out, and that is how to go about the differentiation. So guys, please let me know what you think in the comment section. Tell me if this video is really clear, and if it is, please share to other learners. Thank you for watching. See you in the next class. Bye bye.